What is up, woke family? It's your boy Wokey Bucks, and I'm back again with another live stream. Guys, this is gonna be the time for us to really get into it, man. We have a lot of good topics to talk about tonight, a lot of video reactions, a lot of wokeness, man. We're gonna get into this first video. Jennette McCurdy. I talked about this a couple of months ago back. She made a video, or she basically released a book titled "I'm Glad My Mom Died." And we're basically going to break it down, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on it. So let's get into this video, guys.
On the outside, I was doing a lot of the performing, the tap dancing of like the smile and the showing up and landing on my mark. And I'm going to just do what I need to do and be this, happy-go-lucky Nickelodeon kid.
My name is Samantha Puckett. I'm from Seattle, and I love fried chicken.
But inside I was hurting. It was painful. I was angry. I felt unsupported.
You pull back the curtain on child stardom. It is not a pretty picture.
Not as I see it, no.
At just 15, Jennette McCurdy was one of the most recognizable child stars on television, playing Sam Puckett in Nickelodeon's hit show.
So I just want to understand what she means. She said she was basically hurting inside. Was it because she felt like she didn't really have her childhood to live because she was being judged by the public eye from when she was a little girl? Or a teenage girl? But let's continue though.
iCarly.
Where'd my straw go? Here.
To her millions of fans, she was known as the funny BFF. But she says behind that bubbly on-screen persona, nothing about her real life was funny.
For you, what were the pitfalls of child fame?
You're playing an adult's game. You're in an adult's world, and you don't recognize that. You're incapable of being on that level, but you are confused and you think that you are. And I think it really leads to stunted personal development.
Her personal struggles eventually prompting her to abandon acting altogether.
You say, quite frankly, that this was never your dream. Stardom was never your dream. Whose dream was it?
My mom's. I think she wanted me to have a better life than she had, but I also think...
I'll say this real quick, not to interrupt her, but I think that that's majority of mothers and fathers' dreams, right? Which, this is the thing. I'm going to be real, right, woke family? I think the thing is that in pursuit of the parents wanting their children to have a better life than themselves, they tend to push their children towards things that their children don't want to do. And that causes that child or the children, right? And most people can relate to this, to become stressed out and to want to off themselves sometimes. Now, am I encouraging that? No, because we all know if you off yourself, you're going below. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of parents don't realize that by them forcing their children, it causes their children to develop resentment towards them. But let's continue.
Her approach was very unhealthy and informed by her own lack of self-work, and she lived vicariously through me.
Jennette had her first audition at age 6, encouraged by her late mom, Deborah, their mother-daughter bond, deeply disordered and chaotic. She says her family struggled financially. Over time, like so many other child stars, her acting paid the bills.
It felt like a lot of pressure. And then I think my mom saw my career as a way out of that life, of that way of living, of that constant grind.
How chaotic was that childhood home? You describe it with one line that stuck with me, that the air in the house felt like a held breath.
It was really complicated. My mom also had cancer when I was 2 years old. That was the first time she was diagnosed. So not only was it chaotic because of the abuse that was happening, and my mom's violent and erratic, unstable behavior, but also because we all lived in fear of her cancer coming back.
That volatile relationship is at the center of Jennette's dark and deeply personal memoir, I'm Glad My Mom Died.
What made you pick that?
I think I earned that title through the writing of the book, but I wanted it to be something that would grab people's attention and get them to pick up the book and then hopefully learn by the end of it why I have chosen that title.
From the tender age of 11, she says her mother taught her the dangerous habit of calorie restriction, which would turn into years of eating disorders.
In many ways, your mother tried to keep you a child.
Yeah, I think my mom wanted to keep me as controllable as possible. I think she really wanted to have her influence on me. And me growing up was a threat to that.
The key to that was calorie restriction.
Absolutely. I think my mom encouraged and conditioned my anorexia because both she thought that it would in some ways help my career, and also because it served her.
So, like I said again, like we said again, once with family, I think situations like this is going to show you that a lot of parents across the world want to live through their children, which I'm not going to say is a bad thing, but it is a bad thing when it's excessive. There's different levels to it, right? There are certain, like, especially in my culture, like I told you guys before, I'm Igbo, I'm Nigerian. You have a lot of Igbo parents that want their children to become doctors, lawyers, engineers. A lot of the things with Chinese people as well too, Vietnamese people that want their children to become doctors, lawyers, engineers, and they want that to be able to for their children to use that as a way to be able to take care of the family in the future. And they don't realize how much that child has to suffer just to be able to meet your needs. And in certain situations as well too, it doesn't even stop at the fact that you want them to be able to live that career through yourself to be able to pay the bills. You even force them to get married to certain people, and it's like, bro, this is what we have to understand as people, bro. Marriage is a choice. You as a person have to choose who you want to get married to. It can't be forced, or it shouldn't be forced. At least it can be forced, but it shouldn't be forced. You know, but that's the world we live into. That's the world we live in 2022. But let's continue though.
Goal of keeping me young and under her influence.
The book reveals dark episodes of her childhood that for years Jennette says she blocked out. She describes how her mother would give her showers and touch her invasively until she was a teenager.
She referred to them as medical exams on your private parts.
Yes. This was the hardest part of the book for me to write about. It was a really emotional experience. I laughed during the writing of it, and then I cried a lot after I wrote that vignette.
You talk about basically having out-of-body associations.
I'm gonna say this woke family, but I know I'm probably gonna get canceled for this. But it is what it is. Certain situations in which go on in your life, I don't believe the whole public should have any awareness. That's just my opinion. Now, I'll say this as well too. I think it's easier for a man that has gone through trauma to be able to fight through it and level up compared to a woman that has gone through trauma. Because what we generally tend to see is that a woman that has gone through some sort of trauma or negative actions in her life, it sticks with her. And not only does it stick with her, she believes that going to social media is the way to be able to get through her problems. And it's like, when you see a lot of people saying that women and men are equal, this is exactly why I try to tell you, like, there's a reason why men and women are not equal, because as a man, you're expected to get through this. Imagine if a man were to go on social media and complain about his problems, he would get clowned. Or make a book about it, he would get clowned. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, we have to, as much as possible, not only in the society but in the world, train the women to be able to be stronger when it comes to dealing with issues, because we all go through some sort of trauma, but it's how are you dealing with the trauma that you're facing? That's the real question. Are you exposing it to the public to make yourself look better, or are you going to find a way to be able to get past it? You understand? It is what it is. Let's continue.
Out-of-body experiences when this is happening to you.
Yeah.
What do you think was going on?
I've tried to understand, and that didn't lead me anywhere productive. I would just spin my wheels trying to understand my mom's motives.
This continued until you were 17?
Yeah.
And you describe in the book that you felt violated.
Yes. I absolutely felt violated, and eventually accepting that was the most, I think, integral piece to my own healing and recovery.
At the height of her stardom, she landed a spin-off series, Sam and Cat, starring alongside future pop star Ariana Grande. She writes about tensions on the set.
I'll say what you said. Say it again, one more time.
I said I'm really smart.
You literally wrote, I frequently made the mistake of comparing my career to Ariana's.
Yeah.
And being jealous of everything, jealous of her childhood, jealous of a music career that you didn't even want.
Sure. I was jealous specifically that she played charades with Tom Hanks. That's what got me. Charades with Tom Hanks.
How dare she?
I know. But I was so young at the time, and I think it's really hard to not compare yourself to somebody at that age when you're in an environment around them all the time. So I made that mistake repeatedly, and I'm glad to be at a place now where I wouldn't trade positions with somebody.
As the show was airing, her mother died of cancer. Jennette says her life was spinning out of control, anorexia morphing into bulimia and alcohol abuse.
I was never aiming for bulimia. I was attempting to have anorexia, but I couldn't keep it up without my mom. So then that would lead to, I'd starve myself for so long, and then I'd binge, and then I'd purge because I hated the feeling of fullness, hated it.
It would take Jennette years to seek proper help and start therapy to begin grappling with her trauma.
I couldn't initially accept the idea that my mother was abusive toward me because my whole way of life, my whole way of going through the world I was operating through this lens of my mom wants what's best for me. Even after she died, I'm nothing without my mom. I can't do anything without my mom. I'm incapable, I'm incompetent. What would mom want? What would mom think? What does mom need? That accepting that she was abusive would have meant reframing my entire life. And that felt impossible. I couldn't go near that for a long time.
Jennette says that building a new life without her mom began with a stunning decision to leave acting behind.
Why quit acting?
It was important for my recovery at the time. It represented my mom living vicariously through me. It represented something that my mom wanted that I didn't want. So it was important for me to step away in a very definitive way and really just focus completely on healing myself.
Reflecting back on her career, Jennette's critical of the Hollywood machine and the world she was exposed to at such a young age. In her book, she writes that after Sam and Cat was canceled, Nickelodeon offered her a $300,000 thank you gift if she agreed to never speak publicly about her experience at the network, specifically with a man she refers to as the creator, who on one occasion, she says, encouraged her to drink while she was still underage and gave her a shoulder massage. In response,
Are they talking about Dan Schneider? I think they're talking about Dan Schneider. Yeah.
Nickelodeon telling ABC News, we have no reportable response other than a no comment at this time.
I just said, no, it's not happening. That sounds like hush money to me. Not doing it, not taking it. And then I do remember leaning against, I think I talk about this in the book, but I lean against my bed and I'm like, well, shoot, that could have put my nieces through college. Like, that was some good money. But I am ultimately proud of my decision there, wherever it came from. Even if it was informed by self-righteousness, I think that I did something that was really hard to do. Oh my God, it makes me emotional. I'm proud of myself.
Why? Why proud of yourself?
I think I've chosen a path of integrity.
100%. And I give her respect for that because I know a lot of people, if they were offered $300,000, they wouldn't turn it down because it's a lot of money, which it is. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, as well, to trust and believe that your integrity is way much more important than money, right? Because money comes and goes, but if you know who you are truly deep down inside, nobody can beat that. And you know how hard it is for you to be to have integrity, especially as a woman, when it comes to money. You know what I'm saying? So I give you respect for that 100%.
And it hasn't always been easy.
Now 30, Jennette says she's recovered from years of eating disorders and found a sense of balance for the first time in her life.
What's your body image now, and what's your relationship to food like, and how do you sort of go about your day?
I'm glad you asked this because when people talk about eating disorder recovery, they talk about it being such an ongoing process and something you deal with every single day for the rest of your life, and it's always a battle. And I think that kind of language, it doesn't help motivate. I'm at a place now where I don't obsess about food at all. I haven't engaged in any sort of disordered eating behavior for years. I'm really proud of that.
Jennette says healing also comes through in her writing. She's working on a novel and a collection of essays. And while she sees herself as a writer, she hasn't completely ruled out a return to acting.
I just wish I could have shown my 20-year-old self me now. I would have known what I was aiming for. I would have had something to hope for, something to be encouraged about. I didn't have that.
What would you have told your 20-year-old self?
Look at me now, baby. You're gonna be fine, kid. I probably would have said.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel.
All right, guys. We're gonna I'm gonna give you my last thoughts on this, and then from there we're gonna move into the next video. But like I said before, again, when it comes to the parents, a lot of parents want to lift up their children and see their children do the things that they wanted they wanted to do themselves just to be successful. But I believe there's a delicate balance. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be able to advise your children, but you have to allow them to be able to make the decision that's going to be best for them at the end of the day. You know, and that's what it really is, because a lot of people don't really recognize all of the pitfalls that come with the parents forcing the children to do something that they don't want to do. You know, and it makes it very, very hard. But when you do the right thing, everything else doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, guys, we're gonna get into the next video, and then from there, I'll give you all my thoughts.